Welcome back to Dr. Gina PrimeTime. There is a wild story on Wall Street right now. The stock price for the video game store Gamestop has risen exponentially in recent days, and this might not seem like a big deal to most of us shade tree type investors out there. Stock prices go up and down, but this particular stock rose by over 1,700% this month. So suddenly the intrigue rises, right? But it wasn't driven up by Wall Street traders this time. It was driven up by a sort of populist movement online of traders who used their smartphones to buy a few shares here and there. And suddenly the Wall Street titans who had bet against the stock, well, they're losing their shirts. And regular folks sitting at home are actually making a little money trading the stocks, and in some cases, a lot of money. But Wall Street doesn't really like it so much when people like that make a profit, and they don't. So suddenly, folks like me who use their little phone apps to trade a few stocks for fun suddenly found themselves unable to buy shares of GameStop. And the online forums like Reddit and other message boards where regular folk were communicating about buying the stock were suddenly shut down. And this is a familiar theme for those of us who've been silenced on Twitter. The Securities and Exchange Commission says they are investigating those efforts. They say they are manipulating the markets. And the big Wall Street hedge fund guys love the fact that the little guys are being pushed out of the process, shut down, like so many instances with big tech these days. Here to discuss, financial reporter Kristen Bianco and financial advisor Bob Rubin. Kristen, first to you. This is tough for non-Wall Street types to understand. I just want you to break it down for the lay people out there who don't really understand what happened.
So basically what happened today is that individual investors, day traders, who were trading on this platform called RobinHood, which is doesn't charge commissions, so it's free. You don't have to buy a lot of stock, so it's very accessible. It's for the average person who wants to buy stock. They basically shut down trading in several stocks today. So that's the equivalent of run on a bank, not being able to go to the bank to get your money out. So that's where the outrage was. That doesn't usually happen. Sometimes the SEC will shut down the market for if there's volatility or some sort of a frenzy. But shutting down individual stocks so that people can't get their money out is a big problem. And coming on the heels, as you said, of speech suppression by big tech and some of the other things that have happened over the last couple of weeks, it's outrageous.
Yeah, Bob, this is a little reminiscent. I'm not going to lie. I've watched It's a Wonderful Life one too many times, and I've seen where you can't get your money out of the bank. And as somebody that uses the Robinhood app, I'm a small-time, trader on that app. I was immediately, my red flags just went all over the place, and I thought, this is terrible. And then I asked a friend of mine who is a financial expert who couldn't come on the show today, but she knows a lot about this stuff, and she said, there are two perspectives, though, Gina. She said, either kind of trading is wrong. This was her perspective. First I watched one perspective of one expert I know on television, well-known person on this matter, and he was outraged. He said, this is terrible. This is big tech doing this. This is terrible. What happened? They should never have done it. He was outraged. He was screaming about it all over the place today. But the other perspective was that, either Wall Street doing this or people going on message boards and inflating GameStop, either is artificial and neither should be permitted. What's your perspective, Bob?
Well, I've never described a financial situation like this as glorious before, and I've been doing this for 30 years. The fact that it was David versus Goliath and a little guy was able to, or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of little guys were able to take on the hedge funds and beat them was pretty amazing, to the point that one of them really had to literally go out and get $3 billion or they were going to go out of business. So going back to the Robinhood deal, what happened is it wasn't big tech that did this. This was the hedge funds fighting back. So Robinhood says that they don't charge money to trade a stock. Well, they don't, but there's a thing called money flow or deal flow. And they charge for that. There's basically hedge funds will pay for that privilege. So one of the hedge funds who has a lot of this business and provides Robinhood with money was basically told, look, you need to talk to Robinhood and tell them to back off on this. And that's the way what happened. That's the word that I have from behind the scenes, is they were told
But
that
Bob,
they are.
isn't that some sort of, I mean, you or I couldn't make that phone call.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like cancel culture, but this is a financial cancel. This is really basically Goliath fighting back, right? And saying to Dave, you might have shot me, but I've got bigger weapons right now. And so that's basically what happened. And they're shutting one way of doing this. But it's going to be pretty hard. I mean, the hedge funds, they always call these guys the masters of the universe, some of the smartest guys out there, guys and women, and they are. And as much as I don't like the way they do a lot of things, and I have to get out of their way when I do some of my work, they have the power and they have the strength to do things like this, whether it's legitimate or not. I hope the SEC comes in and slaps their hand if they did anything illegitimate.
Kristen, a broken clock is right twice a day, and Congresswoman and squad member Rasheda Tayeb somehow came down on the right side of this issue and tweeted this. This is beyond absurd, they said. The Financial Services Committee needs to have a hearing on Robinhood's market manipulation. They're blocking the ability to trade to protect Wall Street hedge funds, stealing millions of dollars from their users to protect people who've used the stock market as a casino for decades. Kristen, do you think Democrats and Republicans can come together on this? Because I saw Donald Trump Jr. tweeting the daylights out of this issue on the same side as them today.
I felt the same way as Don Jr. I couldn't believe that I was actually agreeing with AOC. But yeah, I mean, we shouldn't punish people for wanting to go out and engage in enterprises and invest in them. I mean, that should be something that should be encouraged. That's self-preservation. And even if you're only doing it, maybe as a side job, you need to have a voice and you need to have a platform, and you can't just be arbitrarily shut down. But we have to wait and see exactly what happened today. Bob seems to know a little bit more about what might have happened as far as the capitalization, but we'll have to see. But yeah, it looks like it looks like maybe this is a starting point for somewhere we can maybe have a meeting of the minds. And I was very glad to see it, honestly, that they were standing up for the average American.
Bob, once something like this happens, it's not going to be the last time something like this happens. What do you foresee going forward on this type of thing? I mean, how long do you think it'll be before there's another series of message boards and people do something like this again? And then do you foresee them being shut down again? What do you think happens next?
Well, I do hope it happens again. It's a little irrational the way it happened. Like, for example, one of the companies that happened to was BlackBerry. And, I used to own a BlackBerry 100 years ago. But right now there's nothing going on with that company. And yet they ran that company up, 100, 200%, 300%. Same with AMC. I do hope it happens again. It was a really strong, a lot of interesting factors came together to cause it to happen. I hope they never can ever shut down apps, trading apps like Robinhood and all the other ones that are out there. People should have the right to trade as much as they want. It's a free country. If they're going to make money, they're going to lose money. It's their money. It's free. It's free for them to do that. So I hope it never happens. They get shut down. But it's been a lot of fun watching this. I think there's been. I won't go near it as a professional. I mean, I had clients saying they wanted to short the stock today. So I called my trading desk and they were going to charge us 80%. To short the stock. Like 80, wow. Like you got to literally make 80% to break even. So it was kind of crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And unfortunately today the stock's down. Let me check. GameStop is down 44%, $154. That's if you bought in at the beginning of the day, you had a bad day in the market today. But people that so we'll see how that goes.
And last question, Bob, what other fallout do you think there will be from this? Do you think more apps like Robinhood will pop up? Is there any other fallout to watch for as far as investing goes?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I have had a lot of clients and children of my clients say, "Oh, I want to trade for free. I want to trade on Robinhood." And I said, "It's not free, right? There's a bid and the ask price, and there's a difference, and they get paid for this deal flow, for the trading flow. So it's really not free. And I think hopefully there's more disclosure on what costs are. I mean, in my business, we have to disclose everything, and I hope Robinhood actually, not just in font that's tiny, disclosing what they actually charging, what the client's actually paying for, it's actually disclosed out there appropriately.
All right, Bob Rubin and Kristen Bianco, thank you both for your expertise and for breaking it down in ways that everybody can understand. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.